Welcome to ATB TV. I'm Darren Dance here with Peter Morganti on Friday night doing ATB TV. Welcome everybody. Peter, it was an interesting week. 8 or 10 runners there. Maybe one I saw had flashing lights written all over it, which we'll get to.
Big flashing lights, I'd say, Darren. Big horse, big flashing lights. So, no, good story, that horse. Obviously, we had the grand final last week. We had a little competition. We might as well get the winner out of the road there, who already knows and already begging for his prize of a cap and a T-shirt. Mr. Meredith himself, the mayor, Damien Kelly. So 40-odd entries. You had to get the winner, the margin, and the Norm Smith medal and the first goal kicker. So he won by about 3 points from Karen Dunstan. There was a handful of others close up as well. So that signed off 2021 for the football for a year. So we've got nothing else to watch now apart from racing.
I've just been to the Meredith Hotel for lunch, Pete, and it's number one for the best steak sandwich in Australia. Australia, mate, it is the steak sandwich. They don't even show me the menu anymore. They just know I'm having the steak sandwich. And I struggled to get through it. It's a big feed. And Liz signed up for the salmon, and she made a big dent in that. So very nice afternoon there with all the boys. So as me particularly, in Mirabel, go into lockdown for 7 days from midnight. So it's almost like the Last Supper, Pete.
Yeah, she's a funny old time in Victoria. For all the regional areas that were COVID-free for so long now, it just seems to be bobbing up in Warrnambool, bobbing up in Hamilton, bobbing up everywhere. So, yeah, I got my first vaccination on can't remember what day it was now, Tuesday, and that was an episode in itself. No, not so much for me, but watching some poor young fella faint, it certainly put a calm across the room. People were sort of looking across a bit dubious, but I think it was more from the fact that it was bloody hot in the room with about 100 people in there, and all got the better of the young fella. He knocked over about 6 petitions and nosedived into the carpet. There was a lot of raised eyebrows for a couple of minutes. Anyway,
the sooner this is over for all of us, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we better go into our run. We've got a bit to talk about. I think we had 8 runners, and we've got about we've got half a dozen to talk about. There'll be 2 or 3 scratchings out of this weekend's lot, which will be...
This is going to be the short version, Pete.
Yep. So we'll kick off last week. Sandown, 3 runners. We went in there with our eyes open and our wallets ready to load in, but it didn't quite work out that way. We kicked off with Mr. Moneybags, and I think he's been stabled next to Write Your Name and learned some antics about if you go out the back, you stay out the back. He didn't give a yelp.
No, it was never a chance. He never looked like it. I think he just needs a fast ground.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon when you look back through his record, good 3s and good 4s prominent everywhere at his wins. So,
yeah.
Wednesday week or next Wednesday? No, Wednesday week. I think it's the Wednesday before the Guineas. There's a benchmark 84, 1400. That's where his best run was this prep. So we just hope it's not raining that week. And Lindsay's going to put him around there and hope for a better result, and then we'll kick on after that. Otherwise, we might have to have discussions on Mr. Moneybags going forward. Literary Magnet, she settled back in the field with the favourites behind her. Looked like it was panning out well, and she made a bit of a run at him, but still very green. Finished 6th. Winner, I think the winner. Did the winner lead all the way? I think it did, didn't it? Jordan Charles's horse.
Yeah.
It's a so-so run. It was hard to get a gauge on how the run really was, but I know Matthew thought that he might have been a bit easy on her during the week, and she may have lacked a little bit in fitness.
Yeah, I'm just going to say she doesn't help herself in the runs with the way she travels. And I'll put forgive next to her on the basis that she missed a couple of gallops and knocked herself around. So she went in there underdone, made her look worse than she was. She'll be hard and fit when her next start. She'll be big odds, and we'll make a true assessment after that next start.
I know one thing, the 3-year-old fillies groups don't look real strong. So the group she's running against, and add a couple more in, and I heard him say this morning that the 1,000 guineas, what you're saying is they're the ones that are going to be competitive. Whoever has the luck and draws the gate on the day is the one that might win that race. So, you know, and what is she? She's probably 2 or 3 lengths off. What was the thing that ran second? I can't think of its name now. Zuzarella. So, yeah, but you're right. She needs to mend her manners a little as well. Later in the day, Hasseltoff, Craig Williams ran 5th. Winner was far too good. Thought of that, I think it was. Led all the way. I think we're all pretty happy after about 200 metres. Craig had it, well, what, 2 or 3 lengths off the leader. Fortunately, the traffic sort of built up around him when you needed to be going, and we know this horse hasn't got an electric turn of foot, needs to build into the race. Any chance he had to fill in a place, I don't think he would have beat the winner of Fit. We're gone probably at the 300 metre mark when he wasn't getting a run. Worked to the line fairly.
Yeah, I think the horse that won the race, the jockey just outrode them all.
Yep.
Race was over on the bend, which is unusual for Sandown. We got caught in traffic, which is once again unusual for Sandown, but I think we might have just tried to ride him a little bit pretty. And then when we tried to get clear, it was too late. It was all over. So his next run will probably be Geelong on Geelong Cup Day, probably back to 1,500. The analysis on his breeding suggests the miles is 1,700 as far as he wants. So we're probably not going to look at 2,000. We're going to step him back, get him back to Geelong, try and ride him more forward, and see if we can get him back winning.
Good move. Good move. All those tips are coming in, Darren. The inbox is going off. We'll tell the audience about that in a minute. So that was Saturday, not so good. Next day, not so much. Well, wasn't much better, but there was a real nice run in it by Steinem at Mornington. Not her track, not her distance, 1,200. She's out the back. Oh, look, I don't know. She would have ran over easily the best last 600, beaten a, I don't know, length and a half, 2 lengths. It'll top her off nicely for wherever she goes next.
Yeah, started even money favourite. They rode her like she was a superstar, out the back, wide. I think they expected her just to peel off and go bang and run over the top. She tried really hard, got beat 2 1/4. Needed another 100 metres. Probably worked out that there wasn't enough tempo early. Track was a little bit suiting the front runners, and they probably ran along overall a quick time in 1:09 and change. For her to win, she's probably going to break 1:09. Not going to happen over 1,200. Bred to run 16. Had a good blow, slow recovery in the stewards report. Probably just maybe in hindsight went the wrong way there. Next start should improve enough. Will be entered in the Tristark Stakes, as well as a couple of other nice races. She probably may or may not go to the Tristark, but the other option is she might go to Geelong on Cup Day as a stepping stone into one of those mares group races, sort of later in October.
Yeah.
But I was not disappointed at all in the horse. I thought she ran outstanding given all those reasons, and I think she's still on track for a big spring.
I agree. She knuckled down late. I think it was an important point you made, and they said straight after the race there was a period there. There was a couple of sectionals that they just backed off a little. That doesn't help you when you're a back marker. But she was good, Steinem. Serious Deal was at Benalla, just an even run. Look, it was second up. Saab went there instead of going to. Actually, what happened? That was the Benalla meeting that was called off on the Friday, and we weren't. I think we were an emergency and didn't get a run. I reallocated the fields again, and then we did get a run. So we decided to run there instead of Kilmore. Drew the widest gate, sat back, travelled nicely. He just hasn't got that turn of foot that puts him into the race, but he worked to the line okay, I thought.
Yeah, it was good to see him actually settle a bit. Previously, he'd been leading and overdoing it. Done a lot of work on this horse to try and get him to settle and relax, just to see if we can get the best out of him. So he did race a lot more generously than what he has in the past from in the field, and he made a fair run. I think the jury's out on where this horse is at. I'd say that probably after 2 more runs, we'll know exactly where we're at. And Saab's well aware that, you know, within 2 starts, he should have the horse winning, or there might be a win or 2 in him, and then it might be time to move him on.
It's a bit of a catch-22 with him because he's settling well, but he hasn't got that turn of foot, which means that when you get up and trip, you're going to have to ride him a bit closer anyway. So it's sort of a catch-22 with him. But anyway, he's got him ticking over, and like you said, we'll know a bit more in the next couple of starts. Saab also had She's Got Class kick off at Kilmore on the Tuesday. He was sort of having an hour whether to run her or put her out in the paddock, but decided to give her a run. She missed the start. She was chasing for the rest of the race. She finished well out the back. Obviously, at the paddock now, we couldn't glean anything off that apart from the fact she had a day at the races.
Yeah, he admitted he got it wrong. She played up in the meeting, played up in the gates, missed the start, didn't want to be there, pulled up Shinsaw. I'll be getting her off the truck in about an hour's time.
Yep.
She'll have a good 6 to 8 week spell, and we'll start again. But look, she did trial really well at Cranbourne a couple of weeks ago, but she'd obviously just gone over the top. And look, she's not even really, I know she's a 3-year-old, but she's not actually 3 yet. So she'll be a better horse next time in. Just got to put that down to, or at least she's been to the races and had a start. So we'll get her the paddock and get her right, and then go again next year. You might have just skipped over Melburnian.
I did, yeah. I see the arrow to the bottom of the page. They would have needed binoculars. She would have needed binoculars in the run watching that race at the replay. I'd never seen it live. I've seen the replay Monday morning. It was a bloody big field, and she was well back in it. When he went for her, she actually made ground. But all she did was make ground to be within 12 lengths of the leader instead of 25. Finished midfield, beaten a fair way, but...
I'll just read what the trainer said. Hi, Darren. I ran Melburnian on Sunday. The rain was due in the morning. As expected, the rain came down in buckets after her race. She never let down on that ground. The weather and ground is changing here now in Ireland. I want to get one more run into her and see if we can win before the sales next month, Tony. So I think that kind of sums it up. The race was 2 hours too soon.
No luck during the race and till after. Oh well,
so she's got one more start, and that's it.
We'll put some pocket money away for a slow track final run. Wednesday we had an Owenology, should I say. Adam Cretner was was it Donald, when he called the race. He said, well named by the ATB crew here. It's was it something to do with wine? The study of wine?
Study of wine.
Yeah. Who was the bright spark to come up with that name? Obviously
Sam Lord, our wine connoisseur.
There you go. With a mother called More Bubblies, it's beautifully named. Anyway, flashing lights.
If Sam Lord lived in our region, he'd be ranked #1 at the Royal Meredith for drinking.
It's a big rap. Some good drinkers at Meredith.
Yeah, no, he'd be right up there, Sam.
The flashing lights you were talking about were on this horse. It wins in another 10 yards. Huge run. Come from, I don't know, might have had 1 or 2 behind it on the home turn. The little gear change Matthew made just sharpened him up. You can see when he let down, he actually's got a good turn of foot, this horse. And the winner's well liked by the price stable. So I think it's a really good form race. He got beaten in the neck.
Well, it was a 3-year-old maiden on a Wednesday. The favourite won by, as you said, Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. But Waller had 3 in it. Elton Zara had 1 in it. Bustled and Young had 1 in it. So, look, it was a hot race, and I think we were 15 or 17 to 1. And I thought if we ran top 5, we'd be going well. But like you say, he charged the line, nearly won. If it had been another 10 metres, he would have won.
Yeah.
And here's a horse that we couldn't take to the sales because he failed. He was a roarer, failed the scope pre-sale here. So we got stuck with him. Couldn't sell him, couldn't do anything with him. Decided to do the operation. What's the worst thing can happen, Pete? You waste 20 grand doing the op, pre-training him, gelding him, breaking him in, taking him to the races. So what's the worst thing can happen? We'd already done about 80 grand between us, so we'd do another 20. And look, he's had 2 runs for 2 seconds. He can breathe. The operation's been successful, and he's run enormous in a good field. Just to rub salt into the wound. Of course, Hong Kong was always going to ring up and try and buy him for about 400 grand, and then I had to say he's had a wind off. So I think I got stuck with about half him. But anyway, the bottom line is he's handy. Matthew Williams said to me today he's pulled up super. He's going to go to Bendigo, I think, over 1,600 next start in a Vobis race. He also said, would it be all right if he entered him for the Victorian Derby? It's only a $500 fee on Tuesday, because if he went to Bendigo and won by 5, he'd look stupid if he didn't have him in the Derby. So we don't know whether he can run that distance or whether we want to run that distance, but we're just going to, that kind of tells you what Matthew Williams thinks of the horse, that he's going to throw an entry in the Derby, even though he's probably unlikely to run, but he does like the horse, and he's going to win a nice race if he goes good. And we had him scoped today, and he's come up all clear. So, everything looks really well. So he's certainly an exciting young horse.
Yeah, look, I've seen this horse, all his trials. I haven't seen him live racing, but I reckon he's improved 10 or 12 lengths from his trial at Casterton, first trial about 8 weeks ago. I think they were calling him Dumbo then, Double Dumbo. Then Dean rode him.
Was that the current trainer or the trainer that sacked him?
The trainer that sacked him said he had square wheels. Then Matthew thought he was Double Dumbo, and then Christine Pools rode him and said, oh, no, he's just dumb. And then Dean rode him and said, oh, there's something there with this horse. Of course, Zach Spain's on him and been stiff not to have won a race on him. He's a genuine trier, and he's a beautiful big horse. Anyone that sees him, he's massive. Like, I don't know what height he is.
600.
Yeah, he's a huge
he weighs
horse.
600 kilos.
And he's still not, and like Zach said, when he goes through it, his feet scramble before he hits his top gear, and then he actually has got to turn a foot. So there could be a real good story at the back end of this. I did hear Matty talk about the South Australian Derby, but I didn't know that he was mentioning something about the Victorian Derby. So anyway, we'll get a win out of him, and which will be a great result. And anything after that, absolute bonus.
Well, we're actually going to look into doing a DNA test on him, just to find out. There's some people around that go around doing these tests on horses, and they tell you whether they're stayers or sprinters or middle distance horses. So I've known Matthew Williams a long time, and I've never heard him talk the way he talked today. So I think he thinks he's got something there.
You can tell in his post-race, he didn't know where the ceiling ended. He didn't know,
Untapped.
So, untapped. Anyway,
a bit like the Meredith pub.
What's that?
The Meredith pub, Pete.
Untapped.
Like the Meredith pub. The bar's untapped.
Untapped. So anyway, he was the story of all the runners. And there's a couple there. They're obviously Hasseltoff and Steinem. You don't drop off them. Literary Magnet, just hope she can get her manners right, and hopefully Moneybags decides that he wants to run around for a little bit longer. And
can't be too hard on him.
Can't be. He's been a good horse. He's won 100 for Lindsay since he's been there, so he might have won the Coleraine Cup if we went that way.
Let's just bag him when he fails on a firm track.
Yeah, good idea. Right, speaking of firm tracks, well, we're probably going to have tracks with a bit of juice in them the next 2 or 3 days. I won't say heavy tens, but certainly a bit of rain about. We go to the Valley tonight, and one of your little project horses called Black Mirror, Inglis Online, good strong winner at Horsham last start. She's in, I don't know what time the race is, but it's about race 6. She's about $10. She's out to 2,000 metres for the first time. And you're telling me her trainer's pretty confident she'll run a huge race. Paddy Ryan.
Yeah, I just spoke to him when he was on his way down to Moonee Valley tonight. She's in at $8.15, $10. Plan is to go forward, see if we can get to the lead, and then get rolling somewhere around the 400-metre mark. And if they're good enough to run it down, they're good enough to run it down. But he seems to think they're going to struggle to run it down if it plays out that way. So he gives her a really, really good chance. And look, she's in good form. I think the only time she missed a placing this prep was when she got bogged on the rail at Warrnambool.
Mr. Yandel.
She was impressive. Yep. She's been pretty impressive. So $10, she's definitely a good each way bet.
She's nearly $3 a place in a field of 9. So, looking forward to that. That'll be a great story if she can tick off that city win. Tomorrow, headquarters. We've got 2 runners, both in the same race, although you did mention that Never Again, if it gets too wet, may not run. But along with Serious Suspect, they're in the listed 1,400-metre race. It's the last race of the day. Never Again was $150. Serious Suspect's $31. Obviously, we've gone down the road of trying him out over 1,400 again.
Yeah, Saab has been adamant this prep that he's racing now and carrying himself more like a 1,400-metre horse, whereas in the past he's been really upbeat and wound up and just exploding all the time over 12. But he hasn't done that this prep. So in the end, I just said, look, let's just put him over the 1,400 and let's answer this question one way or the other. Whether he is going to ever run over 1,400 or not, it's a perfect opportunity. Just a little bit of a shame that he's drawn so wide. Be nice if a couple came out just so we could move in, because the rail's out a long way and it's a very sharp turn there from that start. So, it's a big ask, but I think you were listening when he was talking to me on the speakerphone there earlier, and he said a lot of people are going to get a shock tomorrow, a good shock, and he thinks he'll definitely run top 4 or 5. Now, if he did run top 4 or 5 from that gate over 1,400 and show that he's back in form, I think everyone would be pretty happy with that. And if you happen to run a place at those odds, I think $8 a place, that'd be as good as a win. So, look, I don't know what to expect really. I'm a sort of, I just want to sit back and see how he goes over the 14. I just hope he gets a nice clear run. D. Thornton to ride. If he gets a nice run and sits outside the leader or just in behind them, and then just can present and go at the right time, when they get into straight. I think they'll be coming off the fence a bit by that race, because I think it's the last race. So if there's rain forecast, they'll be coming off. And I think if it gets into the heavy range, the track, he won't run.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
He's a sneak place chance, I suppose.
I remember that day when it was Damien Lane was swinging off him. I think Wild Planet beat him. He pulled for frigging about 1,000 metres and still had the audacity to kick about 3 or 4 in front. So I'm not sure whether he's racing as well now as he was then, but he's certainly racing a lot more dour. So hopefully the little swing to 1,400, we can see that form reversal. And if it works out all right, like you said, he runs top 4 or 5 or placed, you can certainly go ahead with confidence to pick out another 1,400 down the track. Also, we've got Matoa tomorrow. Now, we did have 4 runners, but we've had a couple been skizzled with leg injuries. Eagles and Pins has got shin soreness. Street Baby apparently reared up or pig-rooted on the walker machine, so she's just got a little bit of a laceration, so they won't turn up. Dandy Classic's first up in a 1,200-metre maiden. Look, tight little track, Matoa, but Paul's confident she can run well and she'll press forward. He did mention the word win in his pre-race summary, so we'll see what happens there. She's a Dandino filly that's had 4 starts for a couple of placings. It looks like she's going to appreciate it when she gets out to 16, 18, 2000, but he's happy enough with her. She's trialled up well, won her last 2 trials.
Well, you have to respect what he says. She's $10. If he thinks she'll win, she won't start $10 because they'll back it.
Yeah, they back
so
it.
you'll soon know if the money. You'll see the money go on. 1200 first up at Matawa on a heavy 9. Brave man, Pete. Yeah, brave man to put money on there, I reckon. Anyway,
untested on any.
But good luck.
Untested on any ground like that, and we know what Dandino thought of that type of surface.
True, track horse.
Yeah. Later in the day, we've got Madam Mischief. Now, we just had a look through. She was second emergency, but we've already had 1 scratching, so she needs 1 more to come out. At the moment, I think she was a $15 chance. It's one of those country series races. It's a $100,000 race at Matawa for a benchmark 64. Actually, just alluded me to that Twitter conversation you were involved in the other day about the benchmark racing. I think there's 1 horse that's a 64 rater. The rest are higher in a benchmark 64.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this system. I'm just not a fan that if it's a benchmark 64 and you end up with 66s and 70s and all sorts in there with bigger weights, that the 64s don't get a run.
Yeah.
I think we should change that rule.
Makes a mockery of it, doesn't it, really?
A discussion on Twitter. I think I asked the question of the chief handicapper, but I don't think I got a response.
No.
Probably too hard for him, but anyway, we'll move on. But look, Madam Mischief, if she gets a run, she'll go the lead. She'll go flat out, and they'll have to catch her, which around Matawa can be hard.
Yeah, if you reckon Horsham is tight, this is tighter, especially the turn into the home straight. So look, $15 and $5. If you want to bank on the fact she'll get a run, I'd be having a little bit each way now. And she'll be still in front halfway down that straight, at least. So that's those 2. Sunday, we did have an Irishman and Miss 10,000 in the 1 race. You spoke to the Marstable, and an Irishman will come out scratched and possibly go to sale next Wednesday, which leaves Miss 10,000. And finally, we've got this kid riding one of our horses, Josh Richards.
We've been watching him win on everything else.
She's drawn 5. She's out to a mile. She's raced well at Bendigo. I haven't had a real good look at the field. What do you say? She's around $11, but she may need 1 more run. But off the back of her first up run, I think she'll run an even race and could figure in the top 3 easily.
Has she ever run a bad race?
She hasn't. No. Win 2 seconds and a third. Yeah.
No, you got to back her each way. You got to have something to place on her for sure.
Yep.
And she's come back better than ever, and she's a filly with above average ability. So we've just had to wait. So no, she's a real chance to run a nice race there.
Kid still claims a 1.5 kilos in the country, which is a steal for a kid of his quality. So yeah, fingers crossed. And I mentioned that's it. Monday's Mildura, Tuesday I think Kyneton with nothing to line up there. And Wednesday I mentioned an Irishman at Sale. Saab was toying with the idea of giving Let's Get Serious his first run. Like you said, he was looking for a nice, big track that had good cushion, wasn't a goat track, so to speak, just so he can get around, experience a good day at the races.
Yeah, he'll find the right race for him. He'll probably enter him in 6 places before he settles on a nice track. So yeah, we'll just have to stand by with Let's Get Serious.
Yep.
So they're our runners, Pete. Now, I wanted to suggest that maybe you want to have $1 on Black Mirror to win, Serious Suspect to place at 80 to 1.
80 to 1.
Sounds tempting.
Yep.
Sounds tempting, doesn't it? $10 equals 800. Or if you want to get really game, you can take a multi. Black Mirror to win, Serious Suspect $8 a place. Dandy Classic, $3 a place. Madam Mischief, $5 a place. Miss 10,000, $3.50 the place. That's 3,360 to 1, Pete. $10 on that equals 33,000.
That'll do.
What do you think?
Well, you sit here and if you just look at them in isolation and just talk about each as individuals, you give them all an each way chance, don't you?
Well, I think we like Black Mirror as our best of the week. Serious Suspect, well, you know, if he runs a 1400, he's a smoky to run a place. Dandy Classic, well, we throw her in at $3 a place. It is Matoa. Paul thinks she's a winning chance, so if we believe him, we hope that she can run a place. Madam Mischief, she's going to lead at Matoa if she gets a run and be hard to run down, so she's a sneaky place at $5 a place. And then Miss 10,000 runs honest every start, so $3.50 the place. I reckon it's if that gets up, you can just don't send me money, just send me wine.
You know the advantage we got here? Those odds will be reduced by the time the viewers watch this because we'll be on.
That's a ridiculous bet, 3,300. I did work it out on if they all won, and it worked out at about 4.1 million or something, but I thought that was a bit ambitious.
Well, if we're at the races and you were sitting somewhere and you had all those, you'd be having $1 each way on them anyway, so we might as well multi them up. I'm getting, as soon as this is press stop, I'm going to invest $10 on them.
Well, I'm certainly going to have something on Black Mirror all up. Serious Suspect the place, that's for sure. At $8 a place. There's no way knowing that horse an $8 a place chance.
Well, they're going to be
no way knowing.
He's going to be near the front at the 200, isn't he? Probably the 100.
Well, Sab's had him back at the farm. The chiropractor went over him during the week, said he's never had him better. He bowled the track this morning, 3 laps on the bridle, never pulled, never shied, never reefed, did everything right. Chiropractor said he's perfect. He's travelled down there. Sab just rang me. He just said he's in his yard. He's happy. He's walked the track. He knows the lane. Just needs a jockey to ride him the way he needs to ride him. So if that's all true, he's $8 a place. Like, it's hard enough to back an $8 winner.
I know. I did watch Saab's 2 reports of him trotting around the track there. I boiled the kettle, and by the time it's finished, I couldn't remember whether I wanted a coffee or a tea or a beer.
Well, I reckon if these don't place or win, and I'll make a promise to all the viewers that I won't do ATB TV again after being to the Mirrors Pub for lunch.
Righto. So there's a little bit of, what do you call it? Brew tips here, are they? Brewing these tips. Hey, we better tell the viewers about our tipping competition too while we're going before we nick off.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of other things we wanted to mention, didn't we? We wanted to mention we had a sad loss a week or so ago, part of the ATB team.
Yeah, look, I was brought to the attention of Kevin Ingelson's death. He's part of the Wandering Toff syndicate that I manage, and obviously Hasseltoff. We did have Urgent as part of that, but she moved on. But Hasseltoff and Kev loved the horse. His first flurry into racehorse ownership. He'd ring pre-race, post-race. He never rang with a gripe. He rang whether it ran second, which it has 8 times. He just loved the fact that he was involved. Sadly, quick illness. I was speaking to him 10 days earlier, and then I got a message from his brother-in-law to say that he passed on. And if you watched the race last week, there was an armband that Craig wore, and that was in honour of Kevin. Look, a lovely fella. His daughter and son-in-law are still in the syndicate, and look, condolences to you guys. I've many a 5 or 10 minute chat with Kev for the past 2 years that he's been involved, and I know there's a little Dandino that he's in with Simon Wild. Yeah, look, it's just a shame. He was up and about and as large as life, and then just cruelly taken away by that hideous disease. So rest in peace, Kev.
Yes, very sad, and I know we spoke to Liz only last week, and does bring back to home, just how fragile life is and how we take it for, we just think it'll never happen to us. So everyone stay well, but sad times for the family.
Yep.
Righto, the tipping comp, Pete, what have you come up with this year?
Pretty simple. We've got 6 races. We've got 5 Saturdays in October, beginning tomorrow, and we finalise the comp on Melbourne Cup Day. Pretty simple. Each week we'll nominate a race. It'll probably be the major race, e.g. tomorrow's the Turnbull Stakes. You simply send in your selection. It's done on a 4-2-1 base. One selection, your selection, winner, who you think's going to win. If you get the winner, you get 4 points. 2 points if it runs second, 1 point if it runs third. Points accumulate over the 6 weeks. The person with the most points will get an anonymous prize. We'll announce it as we get a bit closer.
Anonymous because I haven't worked it out.
As we did last year. There's a weekly prize, so we did suggest that all the winners get thrown into a hat, but I've worked it that if you're the first person to email in the winner for that week, you get a cap. So in other words, it's based on that's the easiest way, and you can only win the cap once. So if you're an early bird, you put your selection in at 2 minutes after the comp enters every week, or you can only win 1 cap, so it'll get shared about. So simply that. So I've already got about 25 or 30 entries.
Who's your pick for the Turnbull, Pete? Obviously, Very Elegant's favourite at 240, Incentivised 280, Sir Dragon $8, Colette $8.50. Who's your tip?
Well, Incentivised, still very much unknown, but it was pretty good when he was down here first up. The weather plays into Very Elegant's hands, and you must say it plays into Sir Dragonet's hands too. When I say weather, we're probably going to have a track 5 in a 5 or 6 to range. That'll suit them too. I'm a bit Very Elegant. But how good is this other horse?
She's a superstar. She's a superstar, isn't she?
She is. What is it, 9 Group 1s? 10 Group 1s?
9.
When Darren Weir first got her over here and she wasn't in the barn for 8 weeks, he said, this is the best horse I'll ever train. And, obviously...
9 million she's won.
Yeah. Obviously, she's gone on and well as a master with these horses. I mean, she was always a bit of an erratic horse, but, God, she's just an absolute gem. She shouldn't have won the other day. And she chases hard. She won't be far off him. It's only a field of 9 or 10. And I think Sir Dragonet is the one to watch going forward, and it's still untapped, that Incentivised. So it's a good race. And like you said, Colette.
It's a great race.
Yeah, Colette. You can't rule her out.
She's my sneaky little one.
Yeah. They weren't talking.
I don't know. Damien Lane getting on Very Elegant for the first time, I think. No Sydney riders down, so that could be a little query. I guess he might have had a little sit on during the week. I don't know.
He may have sat on
followed that.
He may have rode her in trials where Weary had her, but I think Mark Zara used to ride her in races. But yeah.
But I think good race. So the tipping comp goes for 6 weeks, finishes Melbourne Cup Day.
5 Saturdays in October. Yeah.
What happens if your horse? What happens if your selection's scratch? Bad luck.
Oh, geez, I never put that in. What do you think? Because we can still roll with something. Top weight, or you can't really give them the favourite. That's probably unfair. We can give them something. Yep. What do we?
We're going to give them number 1, or we give them the sub.
There's always a sub, generally favour or roundabout, or do we just give them the number below their number? So they've got something to look at.
We'll give them the top weight. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah. A lot of them not that we'll have a few weight for age races, so it's not necessarily going to revert to being the favourite number 1.
I guess we'll allow that if you pick Very Elegant today, which probably 80% of them will.
Yeah.
Now, Very Elegant, a temperature and came out in the morning, I'd say most people would put a new tip in.
Yeah.
But if people were unable to do that, I think we'll just give you number 1.
Yeah. I've given people no entries past race 1 on every race day. So I think race 1 tomorrow is 12:10. So yeah, any entries prior, they can actually put in another entry. Any entries after that, we'll give them number 1. Yep.
All right, let's keep that simple.
Keeps everyone
And then,
on the game.
now, we want to keep this a bit of a secret, Pete.
Yep.
This is only for the viewers. No one else is going to know about this. We're going to run another little competition. It'll be a multi. So just start thinking about a multi for the Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate, Melbourne Cup. The comp will be around, you have to pick the winner of the 3. We're going to close it off, obviously, before the Caulfield Cup. And we're going to pick out a number of people. And then we're going to take your multi and put $50 on it for 4 people. And we're just doing some rough numbers before that. You could be running to collect about $8,000, minimum of $8,000. So
And that's with an
we'll talk about that.
favourite.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about that next week, but it's only going to be for the ATB loyal viewers. And basically you send in your multi and then we'll draw out 4 entries and I'll put $50 on each of them. And if in the very unlikely event that you're good enough to tip the 3 winners and you do get $10,000, good luck finding me.
I was going to say, it's pretty hard to get out of the country, so I don't know where you're going to go and hide. You might be down in Tasmania.
I'll be in the Meredith Pub Beer Garden, Pete.
You buy the pub. Yeah, that's a bit of fun to look forward to. So get studying the Cox Plate, Caulfield Cup, and Melbourne Cup. So look forward to that.
Now I think I had to send a cheerio out to John Marnie and Linda. They were in lockdown, well not lockdown. They were in quarantine in a Brisbane hotel, Pete. Now he's rang me every day. He sent me a photo today of a slab of beer that's half gone and couple of bottles of empty wine, and he's texted me at 5 o'clock and says, "On board, where's ATB TV?"
We're going to have it live for some of these viewers that are bored.
Maybe we'll have to get John Marnie on Zoom next week and be part of ATB TV.
Well, we can have a couple of guests a week. They could just sit up there and put their little 2
He's in day 4 of 14.
Oh, jeez.
He's in day 4 of 14.
Mate, imagine him by day 11. He'll be off his tree. Next week,
said,
next
how are you going to
Friday.
fill in your time? How are you going to fill in your time, John? How are you going to fill it in?
You need 11
And then put money
slates.
in your phone account.
Yeah, well, that's the point. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
survive.
Well, that's all a bit of fun.
Yep.
Good racing tomorrow. Let's hope the weather doesn't destroy it for us. And let's hope the Turnbull's a great race, but I'm looking forward to getting inside tonight to have a look at Black Mirror going around later on tonight because I know Pat Ryan's very keen.
Absolutely. And good luck to everyone else that's got a runner because we've got some nice each way chances, as we mentioned earlier. If you do get that
all right,
multi,
well, let's hope we're smiling next week.
that'd be good if you get that multi. I'm about, as soon as
Yeah,
we're off
it'll
here,
be a
Darren,
good result.
I'm going to put mine on and I might actually put it at the end of ATB TV to show what it actually adds up to for a $10 investment.
All right, mate. Well,
I'll cross the
until next
bar-
week.
I'll cross the barcode out though.
I'm Darren Dance and Peter Morgani. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your racing and can't wait to get back to the track.
See you, everyone.